I started baby wearing in 2016 with my first son. He was around 12 days old then. And a lot of moms, they don't want to admit when they're starting to show signs of postpartum depression. So I spoke about it with my doctor, and she suggested that I baby wear. And baby wearing really helped me overcome the baby blues and just feeling depressed, not knowing what to do with the new baby. I was a first-time mom. So ever since I started baby wearing, I actually probably wore my son Theo every day until he was more than a year old. Not a day went by that I wasn't wearing him. So a recommended carrier is a carrier that supports the development of the baby. It's designed in a way that supports the hips of the baby for proper development, the spine of the baby, the neck of the baby. A recommended carrier versus, like, for example, a carrier that is not recommended, like a narrow-based carrier, or what most people are familiar with. It's an old style of carrier. Now, not very many people manufacture them anymore, but it holds the baby by the singit, so hindi nakasupport yung legs niya. So what you want to look for in a carrier is one that fully supports your baby's spine, your baby's legs, your baby's hips. So there's support here underneath the thighs of the baby. It holds the baby's legs properly in position so that it promotes proper development of the hips, as well as supports the natural curvature of the spine of your baby. So a deep seat is a good carrier to start for a newborn. So I would recommend all parents who are considering to baby wear to read first the manufacturer's instructions in any baby wearing gear that you decide to use, because there are carriers that are age appropriate depending on the stages of development. So there are some carriers that are made for newborns all the way up to toddlers already, but there are some carriers that are that are designed for a little bit older stages of life, like around 5 months old up. There are also some carriers, for example, that are suited or designed specifically for toddlers or bigger babies, like around a year old, or usually from a pant size from like 2T up. So you want to make sure that the carrier that you're using is appropriate for the particular stage of development of your child. So I had to take out my baby already because he's hungry. So you just have to follow your baby's cues. Just make sure that you're both comfortable. And if you're both comfortable, then you can wear your baby for as long as possible. If your baby starts to feel hungry, starts to cry, feel antsy, you notice that he's not comfortable anymore, you can take him out, and then you can, comfort him for a few minutes, and then you can try to put him back in, or you can keep him out for a little while and then put him back in when you're both ready already. So there's no particular limit. If you are going to consider front facing your baby, I do suggest that you hold off on doing that for as long as possible. But other than that, if you do front face, then just keep it to about 10 to 20 minutes and you should be okay. Definitely not. On the contrary, actually, baby wearing is very healthy for our babies. So there's no truth in the old wives' tales that nakakasakang or nakakakuba. Actually, baby wearing keeps the legs of the baby in the optimal position for development. So when our babies are born, their ligaments are still soft in their legs. So by keeping them with their knees higher than their bum, actually it keeps the legs in place. So earlier we talked about carriers, narrow-based carriers, or what we call like the sling na parang nakaipit sa singit nila. So that is actually not recommended for newborns because it pulls the legs downwards, and pwedeng ma-dislocate or matanggal yung legs from the socket. So as long as you are using a deep-seated carrier and the knees are higher than the bum area or even at level with the bum area, it keeps the knees in place. The legs in place in the hips. So it's very healthy. The position is healthy. Actually, even with car seats before, ang design ng car seat is dikit yung legs. But later on, they discovered that this is actually not healthy for the legs. So now you'll notice that in car seats for newborns, the position is for the legs to be spread apart. So don't worry, hindi nakakasakang, hindi nakukuba. It will not deform your child in any way if you try to baby wear. Yes, children with special needs and premature babies, actually, a lot of doctors recommend it, especially if, for example, the baby doesn't know how to regulate his body temperature on his own, or the baby is not really thriving or growing. The skin-to-skin contact with the mother and also hearing the heartbeat, the eye contact, it really helps in making the babies develop and grow. So baby wearing is not only for very perfectly normal and very healthy babies, but if your child has a special condition and needs a little bit help in his development, baby wearing is actually very good for that. Doctors even recommend for premature babies to be baby worn, or what they call kangaroo care. So it's actually a medical. It's something that the doctors recommend because medically it's very good for your baby's development. Yes, I love Shadrack's. Shadrack's wraps are great. I always love to promote to support local. And Shadrack's is a great brand, very competitive internationally, even with other wraps that I've tried. They're great wraps.